Ever feel like you're kind of, shouting into the void online?
Oh, tell me about it.
You pour your heart into this website, right?
Yeah.
But it's getting lost in this, sea of digital noise.
Mm-mm.
Well, today we are diving into SEO analytics.
Okay.
Which is like your secret weapon
Okay.
to cut through all that noise.
Love it.
Make your website work smarter, not harder, right?
Yes. Think of SEO analytics like your roadmap to online visibility. We're talking about using data as our guide.
Okay.
To really understand how people are finding and interacting with your website.
And for today's deep dive, we're taking you through excerpts from SEO Analytics. Boost your website's performance.
Great book.
And this book, really dives right into the nitty-gritty, the why behind SEO Analytics. And it shows you how to turn those data insights into actual tangible results.
It's not about vanity metrics. It's about really understanding what's working, what needs a little love and care on your website, and what you can do to improve it.
Okay, before we go full-on digital marketing guru, let's, back up for a second. What exactly is SEO Analytics?
At its core, it's the process of collecting and analyzing data about your website's performance in search engines.
Okay.
Think Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo.
So it's like peeking behind the curtain to see how those search engines view your website.
Exactly. And what you learn from that peak is pure gold.
Ooh.
You are going to learn what keywords are driving traffic to your site, which pages people are really resonating with, and where you might be losing people along the way.
So it's like having X-ray vision into, your website's performance.
I love that.
Now, this book, one of the things it highlights is, these different components, right? These key components of SEO analytics.
Yes.
Where should we start? What's the first thing people need to know?
Let's kick things off with keyword tracking. This is how you make sure your website is showing up when people are searching for what you offer.
Okay, so if I'm, say, a vintage clothing store, I need to make sure that when someone searches vintage denim jackets, my store pops up, right?
Yes. It's not just about ranking for any keyword. It's about ranking for the right keywords.
Right.
The ones that your ideal customer is actually using.
So how do we know what those magic keywords are in the first place?
That's where the exciting world of keyword research comes in, which, lucky for you, this book covers extensively.
Okay, good.
You'll learn how to identify those relevant keywords, analyze their search volume, and even see what the competition is doing.
So we've got our keywords. We're ranking high on those search results because we've done our keyword research. What's next? People need to click on our website, right?
Read my mind. Traffic analysis.
Okay.
This is where we dig into where your website visitors are coming from.
Okay.
Are they finding you through those carefully chosen keywords, social media posts, or maybe a direct link from a blog?
So if I'm that vintage clothing store owner, I want to know, are people finding my online shop because of my killer Instagram, or are they searching vintage band tees?
Yes, exactly. And understanding your traffic sources helps you see what's working, what's not, and where you might need to adjust your strategy.
It's like having a GPS, but for your website visitors. You can see where they're coming from, where they're going.
And this book even dives into a super important metric called bounce rate.
Bounce rate, okay.
So a high bounce rate, it could mean people are landing on your site and then poof, gone.
I know.
Back to the search results.
Okay. High bounce rate, not a good thing.
Not ideal.
Like spending all day making this gourmet meal for your friends.
Yeah.
And they take a bite, they're like, nah, I'm good.
Right.
It's a sign that maybe your content isn't that enticing or your website's hard to get around in.
Yes. A high bounce rate might mean that your content's not resonating, your website design's confusing, or maybe your page is taking forever to load.
No one's got time for that.
Hey, nobody got time for that.
So besides keeping an eye on that bounce rate, what else can we, what can we learn about what people are actually doing once they're on our website?
This is where things get really interesting. We can actually track which pages they visit, how long they're staying on each page, and even if they're scrolling all the way down.
It's like you're getting a backstage pass to see how people are really experiencing your website.
Yes.
And, you can use that to optimize.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've talked about getting people to your website with keyword research.
Yes.
We've talked about analyzing what they're doing once they get there. But something tells me there's more to this SEO puzzle.
Yeah.
We don't just want visitors. We want them to become customers.
He's absolutely right. Getting people to your website is only half the battle.
Right.
This book dives into what's called conversion tracking. How do you get people to take the actions that you want them to take?
Tell me more about conversion tracking. I'm very interested.
Think of it this way. What's the ultimate goal of your website? Maybe you want them to buy your products.
Okay.
Sign up for your newsletter.
Right.
Maybe download that free resource you spent weeks creating.
Okay.
Conversion tracking helps you measure how effective your website is at driving those specific actions.
So if I'm like going back to our vintage clothing store owner, a conversion could be someone throwing a really groovy leather jacket in their cart.
Yes, exactly. You set these specific goals and then you use analytics to track how well your website's meeting them.
Okay, I'm starting to see all the pieces of the puzzle here.
Yeah.
We've got keyword research to get the right people there. We've got traffic analysis to see where they're coming from, user behavior to see what they're doing, conversion tracking to see if they're actually like making those purchases, signing up for things. Like it's all coming together.
You're getting it. And this book does such a good job at giving you that overview, all of those elements, plus more.
I was going to say, before we move on, I just want to pause for a second and like I just want to make sure all of our listeners are with us. This is a lot of information, right?
It is a lot.
It's a lot of information, but it's all very important information.
Absolutely.
So for those of you who are just tuning in, like the main takeaway here is that SEO analytics is about using data to figure out how your website's doing and then how to get the right people there and then ultimately reach your goals.
You don't have to be a tech wizard to make sense of this. There are so many tools and resources available.
Ooh, speaking of tools,
Yeah.
what are some of the tools that they mention in the book? Like, are there any that you find yourself going back to over and over again?
This book does a great job of breaking down those tools from the free ones, like Google Search Console, to some of the more robust paid tools like SEMrush.
It's like choosing between like a Swiss Army knife or like a full-blown toolbox. Sometimes you just need a simple solution and sometimes you need the whole shebang.
I like that. And this book doesn't just leave you hanging. It gives you actual advice on how to use those tools.
Okay, this is great. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, what else, like what other golden nuggets can we unearth from this book?
Let's unpack another really important aspect that they highlight. It's website traffic analysis.
Okay, traffic analysis.
And we're not just talking about those vanity metrics.
Right.
We want to know who these visitors are and what they're doing on your site.
So we're like digital detectives now.
Let's do it.
Looking for clues.
Yes. Website traffic analysis can reveal so much about your visitors. We're talking about demographics, like their age, location, interests,
Right.
and then their behavior. What pages are they going to? How long are they staying on those pages? Are they even scrolling down?
It's like we have a direct line into the minds of our website visitors.
Right.
Like we can see what they like, what they don't like.
And you can use all of that information to create a more engaging and effective experience.
Okay.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. They emphasize the importance of segmenting your traffic. So instead of looking at your visitors as this one big group,
Right.
you can break them down into smaller segments based on their behavior, their demographics, even where they're coming from.
That makes a lot of sense because it's like sending out a mass email versus crafting these individual messages, right?
Yeah.
You want to create a more targeted and effective approach.
Exactly. And for example, you might find that visitors who come from social media,
Okay.
they're more likely to engage with video content.
Okay.
Whereas those who find you through maybe an organic Google search, they want to read those in-depth articles.
That's fascinating. So we're tailoring our content strategy based on where they're coming from.
Exactly. This is where SEO analytics is so powerful. It gives you the data and insights you need to make those informed decisions.
Okay, so we've got our detective hats on. We're analyzing these traffic patterns. We're segmenting our audience like pros. What's next?
Let's talk about another critical aspect of user experience, which is website design and usability.
Because even the most well-written, amazing content in the world can't make up for a website that's just impossible to use, right?
Exactly. This book emphasizes the importance of having a very clean and intuitive website design, making it easy for your visitors to find what they're looking for.
It's like walking into a really well-organized store. Everything's easy to find. You actually want to spend time in there.
Exactly. Website design is about more than just aesthetics.
Right.
It's about functionality, too.
Right. No one wants to deal with a website that takes forever to load. Or a mobile version that's the size of a postage stamp.
It's 2024. Nobody has time for that.
No.
This book stresses the importance of things like page speed, mobile responsiveness, and overall site architecture.
Okay, so we're making sure our website loads quickly, looks good on every device, and is easy to use no matter where you are or what you're looking for.
Exactly, and here's why it matters. Not only does it create a better experience for the user, but it can also impact your search engine rankings.
Wait, really? So a well-designed website can actually help me rank higher on Google?
Absolutely. Search engines, they love websites that are easy to use. They want to show websites that people are actually enjoying.
It makes sense. Happy visitors equals more engagement. They're more likely to become customers in the long run.
Exactly. And this book even dives into those more technical aspects of web design and how those impact SEO.
Oh.
Things like clean code, optimized images, structured data.
Okay, so we're making sure that all the behind-the-scenes elements of our website are running smoothly.
Exactly.
This book gives us the tips and tricks to do it. This is great. Before we move on to the next part of our SEO deep dive,
Okay.
let's recap what we talked about today. We talked about keyword research, traffic analysis, user behavior, conversion tracking, and website design.
That's a lot, but it's all connected. It's all part of that big picture of SEO analytics. Remember, we've only just scratched the surface here. There's so much more to learn.
There's always more. That's what makes it exciting.
But for now, let's take a deep dive into another critical aspect of SEO analytics, which is keyword ranking tracking. And this is where we become detectives once again.
Okay.
We want to see where our website is showing up in the search results.
Because even the most beautiful website in the world with the best content doesn't matter if it's buried on, like, page 10 of the search results.
Exactly.
Like, no one's going to find it.
Exactly. And keyword ranking tracking helps us understand where we stand in that search landscape.
Okay.
And more importantly, how we can improve.
So it's not just about, like, checking our ranking once and calling it a day.
Not at all. It's an ongoing process.
Okay.
It's about monitoring your rankings over time, seeing how things change, identifying opportunities, and addressing issues.
It's like checking the map on a road trip.
Yes.
Just making sure you're still going in the right direction.
Exactly, because just like with a road trip, there can be some unexpected detours.
Oh, yeah.
That's why staying on top of your keyword rankings is so important.
This reminds me of when I first started optimizing my website.
Yeah.
I was so surprised by how much the rankings fluctuated.
It's definitely a dynamic process.
It's very dynamic.
And this book actually breaks down some of the factors that can influence your rankings.
Okay.
We're talking about the search engine used, the device, the location, even personalization settings.
It's like trying to solve one of those, like, math equations with a million different variables.
It's complex.
But that's what makes it kind of fun. It's like this big puzzle.
It is.
And with every piece of data, we get a clearer picture of how to improve.
You're getting it. And the good news is there are tools for that.
Of course there are.
They can help us track all of this data.
Okay, lay it on me. What are the tools?
Well, they mention a range of tools. You've got your free tools like Google Search Console.
Right.
And then your paid tools like SEMrush, Ahrefs.
So there's something out there for every budget.
Exactly. Every budget, every level of expertise.
I love that. So what are your thoughts on all these different types of tools?
You know, each tool has its strengths and weaknesses. Google Search Console is a great place to start.
Okay.
It's free. It provides a ton of valuable data.
Right.
But if you want that deeper dive, you want to check out your competition.
Yeah.
That's when those paid tools are really worth it.
It's like a basic toolbox versus like a professional grade kit.
Exactly.
You got to find the tools that work best for you and your needs.
Yes.
We've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about keyword research, traffic analysis, user behavior, conversion tracking. Oh, and we can't forget website design.
We did cover a lot.
So much good information, but it's clear that like taking a data-driven approach is just so important for anyone who wants to make a splash online.
And this book really does give you the roadmap, the tools, and the insights you need.
It does, but I think it's important to remember that SEO isn't like a one-and-done thing. It's something that you constantly have to be doing, right?
It's a journey.
It's a journey. It's constantly evolving, right?
Yes.
So you always have to be learning new things.
You got it.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Before the break, we were really digging into SEO analytics. Boost your website's performance, uncovering those secrets to make your website a traffic magnet.
And we're just getting started. This book is jam-packed with good stuff, so let's jump right back into it. Our next SEO deep dive. All about user experience.
Okay, user experience.
Yeah.
Because we could have the most beautifully designed website, with the best content in the world.
Right.
But if people get on there and they're frustrated,
It doesn't matter.
they're going to bounce right off.
Exactly. And this book, it really emphasizes user experience for a reason, you know? It's all about making your website not just look pretty, but also be super easy to use and, people actually enjoy being on it.
So for our listeners, what are some key takeaways? Like what actually makes a website user-friendly?
Well, first and foremost, you got to have clear navigation.
Right.
Think about it like you walk into a store.
Okay.
Everything's like just thrown everywhere.
Yeah.
You're going to turn around and walk right out.
Right. Because you can't find anything.
Exactly. No one wants to waste time trying to figure out where to go, whether it's a physical store or your website.
Okay, so we're talking like clear menus, logical categories,
Right.
maybe even like a search bar for the people who know what they want.
Exactly. Oh, and we can't forget about mobile responsiveness these days.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Huge. Your website has to look just as good on a tiny phone screen as it does on a giant computer monitor.
Because ain't nobody got time to be zooming in and scrolling all over the place.
Exactly. You're going to have a lot of people bouncing right off of that website.
Totally.
This book has some great tips on optimizing for mobile. They talk about like using responsive design,
Okay.
making sure your images and text are the right size for those smaller screens.
So we got navigation, we got mobile. What else?
Page speed. This is a big one.
Okay.
If your page takes like even a few extra seconds to load,
Yeah.
people are going to leave.
People are out of there.
They're gone.
It's like waiting in a really long line at the grocery store.
Yes.
You're just going to be like, you know what? I'm good.
Yep. You're leaving that cart, walking right out.
I'm out. So it sounds like a slow website. Not only is it annoying for people trying to use it,
Right.
it can actually hurt my ranking on search engines.
Yes. Google, they're all about speed. They want to show their users websites that are fast and smooth, so page speed is a ranking factor.
Got it. Okay, so this book dives into that more technical side of things?
Yes. They talk about everything from image sizes to browser caching.
Okay, all important things for people to look into. So we've covered navigation, mobile responsiveness, page speed. What else should be on our checklist for good user experience?
Don't forget about readability,
Ah, yes.
the content itself.
Right.
Even if you have the most valuable information in the world, if it's presented in a way that's hard to read, people aren't going to read it. Think about it. Would you rather read one big, long paragraph or something that's broken down, nice headings, bullet points?
Give me the bullet points.
Right. Make it easy to read.
Exactly. People just don't have the attention span these days.
Exactly. So use clear language, break up your text, and add some visuals.
You got to make it fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so the content itself, we want to make sure that it's easy to read. But what about trust? Like, even if my website's easy to use and the content's great, people still need to trust me.
You are so right. Building trust is essential, and this book really stresses that. One of the best ways to build trust is through social proof.
Okay, social proof. I've heard that term thrown around. What is it exactly?
It's basically anything that shows potential customers that other people have used your product or service and loved it. Testimonials, reviews, those little case studies, even social media shout-outs.
So it's like digital word of mouth.
Exactly. You're way more likely to try that new restaurant if your friend tells you it's amazing.
Right, you trust them. Okay, so we need to get those testimonials on our website.
Yes. Add a testimonials page, show off those social media feeds, let people see what others are saying about you.
Okay. Now, before we move on, I want to touch on something that I feel like sometimes gets overlooked, and that is accessibility.
Yes.
Making sure that your website is accessible to everyone, no matter their abilities.
It's so important. Everyone should be able to use the internet.
Exactly. What are some practical things that our listeners can do to make their websites more accessible?
Well, this book gives some great advice, like making sure there's enough color contrast for people with maybe visual impairments.
Okay.
Providing that alt text for images.
Right.
And just, using clear language that's easy for everyone to understand.
Okay, so it's really about thinking about everyone when you're designing your website.
Yes, exactly.
So we've covered a lot about user experience. But how does this all tie back into the whole SEO thing?
Yeah.
Like, how can we do all of this and make Google happy at the same time?
That's a great question. And it's something that this book really emphasizes.
Okay.
A lot of people think SEO and user experience are like these separate things that clash.
Yeah.
But they're really two sides of the same coin.
Okay. I like that. Tell me more.
So when you're doing SEO, you're making it easier for Google to understand your website. Right. You're using those relevant keywords.
Yes.
You're creating that high-quality content.
Right.
And building backlinks.
Yes.
But when you create content that actually provides value, answers people's questions, isn't that also a good user experience?
That's true.
And when you have backlinks from trustworthy sources, that tells Google you have a quality website, which can boost your rankings.
It all comes back to trust, huh?
It does. So it's not just about stuffing keywords in your content or getting any backlink you can find. It's about taking a more holistic approach to SEO that considers both.
So we're going for that sweet spot, a website that users love and that Google loves too.
Exactly. Focus on those users and the rest will follow.
So we're talking about creating a website that everyone's happy with.
Yeah.
Users are happy, Google's happy, everybody wins.
Exactly. And this book, it really lays out some really actionable steps that you can take to get that perfect balance. It's not this or that. It's both, right?
It's like SEO and user experience go hand in hand.
They do.
This has been so eye-opening, this whole deep dive into the world of SEO analytics. This book, SEO Analytics, it's given us so much to think about.
It really has.
From the small details, like those technical things, to the bigger picture.
Yes.
Creating that website that people love to use and that Google loves to rank.
Absolutely.
We've covered so much. We talked about keyword research. We talked about traffic.
We talked about everything.
Conversion tracking.
Yes.
Website design. I mean, it's a lot. But, it's very clear that taking a data-driven approach is key to making your mark online.
And this book really gives you the tools you need to do that.
It does. But I think it's also important to remember that SEO analytics isn't something you do just once, right?
It's a journey. It's ongoing.
It's constantly evolving.
Yes.
So we have to evolve with it.
Yes.
Well, before we wrap things up, any final words of wisdom for our listeners?
Embrace the data.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to really dig in there, experiment, see what's working, track your progress. It's all about learning and growing.
So much good advice. Data is power. I truly believe that.
Yes.
And with the right tools and the right knowledge,
You can do anything.
we could do anything. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into SEO analytics. And, we hope that everyone listening has learned some new tips and tricks to really boost that online presence.
It's been a pleasure. And remember, the world of SEO is always changing, so don't ever stop learning and experimenting.
Until next time, happy optimizing, everyone.